What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm here to do a review of Grownish. This is season 3, episode 12, and the episode is titled Water on Water on Water. But if you ask me, this episode could have been called Dry on Dry on Dry. I'm sorry, this was one of the driest episodes that I've watched, and also it was the most frustrating at this point. So let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to break this down by characters instead of scene by scene, just so I can keep everything together. So let's go ahead and get Zoe out the way, because Zoe was honestly unnecessary throughout this entire episode. The fact that Zoe is no longer in college, it kind of takes us out of the element of her being with the entire group. So the scenes with her and Indigo, first of all, why was everything blue? Like, I feel like the room was just blue. And I'm like, why? I get her name is Indigo, but that's a bit corny. It's a bit on the nose. So we see Zoe, she's having a phone conversation with Nomi, right? And I'm like, okay, so are we ever going to physically see Nomi or no? No? Okay, sounds great. Because Nomi, she never really brings anything to the story anyways. So she's on the phone pretty much complaining about how Indigo is as a client. And Nomi's like, but at least you now have 2 clients instead of just Joey. And she's like, yeah, I guess. So one thing about that scene that really bothered me was the fact that Zoe is like whining about how I had to pull 23 looks from 4 different fashion houses. I just want to know, how did she get her contacts as well as pulling 23 looks from 4 different fashion houses? Girl, I definitely know people who do that same job that you have and have had to pull from like 10, 12 different places. So her whining, I'm giving a side eye to. I just wish that when it comes to Zoe and her career, we see her struggle a little bit. And what I mean by that is, like, her client is requesting something and she can't get it, or like, just give us something. But anyways, back to this. So Indigo comes in. She's like, saying this is cute, this is cute. And Zoe is basically just being a yes man. She's just like, oh yeah, girl, that's cute. So Indigo is like, listen, I don't need a yes man. I need for you to be honest with me about my clothes, because I'm not trying to go out here looking crazy. So then we get a scene of Indigo trying on this like dress. Well, it's not even a dress. She wore it as a dress, but it really needed pants. Little outfit or whatever. I thought the outfit was a bit dated, but whatever. This is Zoe styling. And Zoe is honest, and she's like, no, this needs the pants. You look ridiculous, whatever. So then Indigo is like, okay, thanks for telling me. But if you talk to me like that again, then I'm going to fire you. And the last thing that we have with Indigo and Zoe is Indigo coming out with this orange, it was like a orange and yellow, 2-piece. It's like a skirt and jacket. And then she had this little beanie on, and Zoe's like, no, you can kind of drop the beanie, whatever. This may get me fired, but I think it looks ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. I can't lie. I kind of laughed at that just because I'm like, I feel like a lot of Instagram girls will wear this outfit, but that's a whole other story. But at the end of the day, Indigo basically lets Zoe know that this was just a test to make sure that Zoe was the right stylist for her, because she, again, doesn't want to go out there looking crazy, because honestly, your looks can make or break you when it comes to being an artist. So that pretty much wraps up Zoe and Indigo. Yeah, I'm sorry, but as much as I like Zoe, or should I say I like Yara Shahidi, Zoe's character is not doing anything for me. Also, what did she have on, you guys? She literally had on a stripe. I think it was striped at the top, and then it was pink tutu material at the bottom into a dress. What was that? I'm so frustrated with the way they dress Zoe on this show, because it does not make any sense. For her to be this fashion forward girl There is no way that these are the outfits that she should be wearing. I'm sorry, but I have yet to see a cute outfit from Zoe since the season has started back up. I mean, are we counting the orange jumpsuit as a cute outfit? Because I can't find one. Someone let me know if y'all spotted a cute outfit from Zoe lately. All right, let me go ahead and get on Anna and Javi. All right, so basically, Anna and Javi, they had some drinks or whatever, and they were laying up in her bed. So he wakes up, Javi, and he's like, oh, well, I'll just go home. She's like, nah, you're a little too drunk. Just go ahead and crash here. Okay, he crashed, all right. He crashed right into her, literally, because they hook up that night. The crazy part about it is that it wasn't even good. Plus, they have all this guilt because, I forgot to mention, Anna just got rebaptized at the beginning of this episode. Okay, that's great for her. I do like the fact that she's, trying to seek God and trying to find God. I kind of wish that it wasn't revolved around her relationship and she tried to seek God for herself. But as we know, this show is solely based on relationships because no one has anything else going on. So after they get to like the morning after, she's over here pretending like, oh no, everything was okay, but really it was not. So now we have Anna and Javi. They still can't get it right because they figured, let's keep trying to hook up and see if we can get it right. And it just wasn't working for them. Like at one point she headbutted the man. He had to put peas on his eyes. I'm like, I cannot. So then Anna has a conversation with Sky when they're in the kitchen. I did laugh at the fact that Anna was like trying to mope into the kitchen, be all sad faced, and Sky was completely ignoring her, which is typical Sky behavior. So, they just have this conversation about how she felt guilty and how, it wasn't even good. One thing about that scene was when Sky was like, yeah, guilt is a wasted emotion. And she basically tells her not to feel sad or feel bad about it because she just needs to recommit herself to God. I didn't really care for the side piece comment that was in there, but whatever. I didn't write the script. So at this point, Anna has realized that she needs to focus and recommit herself to God. And I'm like, girl, you should have been doing that in the first place instead of your relationship with God solely being focused on you and Javi plus God. Because if you don't have your own relationship with God and you're waiting on another person, yeah, your relationship is faulty. So she ends up meeting up with Javi and she tells him that she wants to focus on her relationship with God by herself. And I'm like, okay, great. Finally, we have one of the ladies on this show choosing themselves and to put themselves first for a change. Oh, but don't worry because that was very short-lived because she tells Javi that she wants to focus on her holiness, but she loves him. Next thing you know, he says it back to her and they hook up again. And I'm like, okay, so what was the whole point of this? You literally sat up here, y'all dragged this out for how many scenes? Like, honestly, this was too much Anna and Javi for me. I'm just so confused here. Like, they hook up again. This time it's better. And they decide to get prayer from the church so that they can be celibate together. Bye, Anna and Javi. I hope the next week we don't get no scenes with them. Because they took up all the time on this episode. Instead of seeing so much Anna and Javi, why couldn't we see Sky and Vivek on the double date? Like, it bothers me that we literally have Sky and Vivek there just for a few jokes and I guess to have bodies in the room. Like, it pisses me off that we do not get to see Sky and Rodney, as she used to call him, because this entire episode, she called this man Rodney. Who is Rodney? You call that man Rodney. I'm confused. And we also don't see Vivek and Heidi, which, I mean, we barely got to see her when we met her. So let me go ahead and get on Jazz and Doug, because this is another thing that has frustrated me this entire episode. Actually, this has frustrated me this entire season. Well, since they came back. So the episode actually kind of started off with Vivek and Sky. They were going on that double date, and Sky was out here trying to get Jazz to come along, and she's like, no, I don't want to go, be a fifth wheel or whatever. And Sky's like, well, no, you wouldn't be a fifth wheel, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, first of all, why would you want to go on a double date and then bring your sister along? Also, how is it that Sky is trying to get Jazz to go out with some other guys and meet them and mingle when she's the one who put it in her head that she needs to take a break from Doug? Like, I'm trying to figure out, is Sky trying to, sabotage her own sister or what? Because it doesn't make sense for Sky to be like, hey, your boyfriend is taking up too much time and you're focused from running track. But in the same breath, basically be like, but girl, we about to go out. You should go ahead and go talk to this guy. Give him your number. That does not make any sense at all. I'm sorry, it doesn't. So, Jazz is like, nah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and chill back here and I'll stay home. And I'm like, okay, great. So we then got a scene of Doug, and he's hanging out with his boy Aaron, right? He think that it's just, them two hanging out, having a good time as boys. Nope. We see Rochelle is hanging out in the background, and as we know, that is Aaron's girlfriend. So now Doug is feeling some type of way because he's like, dude, I was not trying to be no third wheel to you and Rochelle. I'm about to go ahead and go find me somebody else. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Doug, you're really not, because you're hung up on Jazz, as you should be, because you guys should actually be together. I'm sorry, but this show makes no sense when it comes to Doug and Jazz. They are a couple that should have never broken up, because the reasoning we're not even doing. The whole point of them taking a break was so that Jazz could focus on track. We ain't seen that girl on the field since that one episode when they presented the issue. That is the only time we've ever seen her run. We can't get a scene of her and Sky leaving the locker room after a track meet. We can't get, them hanging out with the other track girls. Nothing. It's so frustrating watching this show, I promise. And I know you guys probably feel the same way when it comes to Doug and Jazz. So we get a scene of Doug trying to not be that third wheel. He was trying to pick up, another woman, and the girls he was talking to, one girl, he was offering her a drink, and she's like, oh no, I don't drink, but do you have some cocaine? And I'm like, how did we get here? But then I had to look at who the girl was, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. They do that. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Then the next chick, she sees a guy put his credit card down, and she's like, oh, let's go ahead and run this dude's credit card up. And I'm like, who are these women that he's meeting up with? So basically, he goes back over there to Aaron, and he realizes that now he's the new Vivek. And I'm like, you're really not, because Vivek used to be super annoying, and Doug does not annoy me like Vivek used to in the first season. So I just really need Doug and Jazz to get back together. After that scene though, we have Jazz. She's at some little diner, and I'm like, where are you in LA that you have a diner that looks like this? But whatever. She's at this diner, and she's trying to order something, or at least she's looking at the menu, and she meets this guy, and they're trying to split some pie together. I'm like, yeah, okay. what is the point, again, of her going to meet new guys just so that she can, I guess, free herself from Doug when Doug was never the problem? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that Doug, her being in love with Doug was the problem because she was very clingy to Doug. But Doug as a person was never the problem. Like, Doug never did anything that crossed her. Doug was fully in love with her. Like, it does not make sense for her to be trying to go out on dates. Also, where is your focus on college? Where is your focus on running track? But you out here trying to catch a man. It bothers me that this show is solely based on relationships. Like, there's so much more to college, especially with these storylines that they kind of mapped out for everybody. And we're hardly seeing them touch the surface of any issues that really matter. So we then get a scene of Doug. He is holding his phone. He wants to text Jazz, but then he decides not to because, again, they're on this break, as they keep calling it. After that, we see, well, at the same time, we see Jazz. She gets a text from Deontay. So I guess Deontay was the key lime pie boy, and she was going to text him back, but then she decided to delete his contact because that's the right thing to do, Jazz. I'm very proud of you. So that pretty much wrapped up the show. I think the last scene was just Aaron and Doug, and Aaron was trying to order some cake. Well, no, he tried to lie and say it was his birthday so that he could get a free slice of cake because that's what Doug had been doing. But of course, Aaron, he butchers it. So that pretty much wraps up my review. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. And tell me what you guys think about this season so far. Because, this is not really my favorite over here. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.